Hey, I'm Vanessa, the girl on a bike, and today I'm here with an absolute monster. This is the GS R 1250 Rallye TE, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of a technical review of what this bike has to offer. If you're new to my channel, please do hit subscribe. Now, first of all, there's two words that I think sum up what this GS is, and that is safety and comfort. And don't let that for one moment think that it is a boring bike. Safety and comfort basically means you can ride for absolutely ages in complete comfort and safely. And safely also means pushing it, because this thing has so much tech on it, it's going to keep you safe. So let's get into some of the details. First thing that comes to mind is the weight of this beast. It's an absolute monster, fully equipped adventure bike, and it weighs in at 249 kilos. That is a lot of weight, and that is before you add a 20-litre tank of fuel, all of your luggage and yourself. Total loaded weight, this thing can take up to 465 kilos. That is a lot of weight. The good news though is down in here there is a 1250cc engine that has a lot of power and fun. So the power to weight ratio means that this is still a very fiery bike. If we break it down into statistics, we've got 136 horsepower and a max torque of 143 Newton meters. So there's lots of power in there. The Rallye TE version comes with a list of additional technologies and also this stunning look with the blue, the red, the black powertrain, the gold wheels. It's a little bit more of a head turner than the standard GS. As far as the safety and technology, this bike is effectively been designed to do as much thinking for you and absorb some of the hazards that the road can give you through, being on two wheels. So we've got automatic stability control, we've got dynamic ABS, we have hill start to help you on pulling forwards on an incline with such a big heavy bike that's wanting to go backwards. You've got dynamic traction control, you've got the ABS, which also takes into your braking angle so that you're less likely to have a little bit of an OS moment. If you hit a brake on a corner, it's using all of the computer systems, clutch, brake, throttle, engine, everything all together. I mentioned clutch, it does actually have a gear shift system which enables you to change gears without using the clutch. And if we think about riding on a bike for a long period of time, that's a very good one for fatigue. It's got that smooth gearbox to be able to take that kind of shift change. The GS does have the standard boxer engine that we are very familiar with BMW. Now, if you have ridden a historical boxer, you'll be used to the fact that you start it up and you go, woo! And you have this weird boxer kind of style engine. Now, this bike, I was expecting it when I fired it up, but the balance shaft that they've got on here means that you can barely feel that little characteristic that we have learned to love, I suppose, from BMW. Doesn't take away the character, it just gives you a little bit more confidence because you haven't got that kind of strange sideways wiggle. As far as the engine goes, this is a air liquid cooled 4-stroke. We've got double overhead cams. I think comfort is quite an important one to mention on the GS, because for me, the bit that blew me away the most was how comfortable, and I have to say comfortable with like a capital C, because it is so comfortable, this machine is. And I think there are a few things I want to highlight as to why it's so comfortable. They're not necessarily unique to the BMW and the GS, but the combination of them all make this an absolutely fantastic bike for doing some mileage or doing some short distances in absolute luxury. I actually feel like it's sort of a Range Rover Bentley of motorbikes. So first of all, we've got the bench seat. This is a bench seat that comes on the Rallye TE, but it is super spongy and comfortable. We've got heated grips and guards. Guards take a little bit of the wind fatigue and chill off your hands. We have an adjustable fairing which completely removes the buffer off your whole body and head. And you can, if you were to go over, I don't know, 85 miles an hour, in theory, because obviously I haven't gone that fast, you can actually sit without any hands on the handlebars in cruise control, which I don't recommend and of course haven't done, but that is such a good wind buffer that you are sat here completely oblivious to the wind rushing past you. We then have a GPS up front, which is right at the perfect eye level to be able to quickly flick up and down, reading the road, getting your directions. I have mentioned the cruise control already, and it is amazing. When I first discovered cruise control on motorbikes, I thought, why on earth would you want cruise control on a motorbike? Seriously, don't mock these things until you've tried them. It's absolutely fantastic. You've got a really clear menu system on the TFT display, and you've got access to the different riding modes. The riding modes can be changed whilst riding along, which some bikes can't. I like to be able to, because if it suddenly starts raining, I don't want to have to pull over to switch it into rain mode. With these modes, I was actually blown away by how much of a difference the setup and programming of this bike changed with rain mode. So the rain mode is obviously going into there is a slippery surface below me, so let's dull everything down but not take away the fun. And it just felt like this bike suddenly went, okay, we've got rain, I'm going to put my rubber sole shoes on and grip. Anyway, when we think again about comfort, you have this massive boxer engine here and a 20-litre tank in front of you, which all helps to that wind buffer, keeps a bit of the rain off you as well. You've got really nice foot pegs. I found it a very comfortable position, and you do have space on the seat to move your bum backwards and forwards, and the seat height is changeable. As standard, the seat height is between 850 and 870 because you do have two settings. You can get the GS with a lowering kit on it directly from BMW, and that will drop it down to 800 to 820 seat height. Now for me, I do find this a very tall bike. I am 169 centimetres and I can just about tiptoe just on both sides with my feet. But one thing I did actually find is the foot pegs are kind of right where your most direct line to the ground is. So I did find that if the foot pegs weren't where they are, I'd probably be able to get more contact with the ground. However, BMW have designed this bike to have the foot pegs in the optimal position for riding, not for standing, and a motorbike's for riding, so I'm not really going to complain about that. Okay, I have a correction. I said that I couldn't reach the ground on this bike. Pretty rubbish camera angle right there, but I can reach the ground. And actually, I can nearly flat foot off the ground if I put my legs forward. So that is a correction for when I'm standing in the garage. I've got the luggage set up on this bike because I think I've done about 1,000 miles in a week having this bike, and that just shows how comfortable this bike is, because each day I didn't think, oh, you know what, I won't go out today. I thought, let's go out, I've got a GS. Anyway, the luggage, it looks like I have the kitchen sink on the back of this bike. I'm not gonna lie, they are 3 huge hard panniers. However, they are a little bit deceptive. They're not quite as big as you think. I did do a Costco shop and I had to put one of the packs of sausages back because I realised I wasn't going to fit it in with my clothes. And when you think about the 2 panniers on the side, the exhaust side pannier is half the size because the exhaust is in there. BMW do a whole different selection of luggage, so maybe there is a more suitable luggage system. It's got huge big rails, so actually tying any bag on the back would be super easy. I'd kind of be inclined to just put a massive roll bag on the back and just have one big tube, which is also easier when you get to your place to stay for the night. But I don't mock these. One thing I do want to know though, does anyone actually trust the locks on panniers? Because I'm just so worried about my knickers flying down the street. I will always close it and then do the key. In my head, if I have the key turned, it can't open. Let me know in the comments below if that's just a me being weird or whether that's actually, you know, a legitimate theory. I don't think it's a legitimate theory. Suspension, we've got 190 and 200mm suspension range, and then brakes, we've got a dual This on the front with 4-piston floating calipers and a single on the back. Size-wise they are 305 and 276 millimeters, in case you want some of the details. Briefly talked about the tank earlier. It's got a 20-litre tank. I was getting about 54 miles an hour, and that was quite a bit of big, fast motorways, but also a lot of tiny Devon lanes where it was single carriageway and you were going around every corner thinking there was a car coming. Manoeuvrability of this bike, well, you're not going to get a Shire horse and think you can turn it round in a tiny little stable. So this is a big bike, appreciate it's a big bike, and you'll get on with it fine. Don't expect, you know, tiny pivots on the spot. But it is incredibly well balanced. Now this has a huge engine in it, and if we think about the, you know, I think it's called the flywheel of this bike, it means that the rotating mass of this engine means that if you go at low speeds with a little bit of clutch and a little bit of throttle, the rotating mass of that bike means that you can ride really, 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 really slowly. Like, you're in traffic and you're thinking, yeah, I'm pretty much still, but you're completely stable, and I love that about this bike. I did quite a lot of filtering, and I had the confidence, despite being on a beast of a bike. Everything about this bike just makes you feel comfortable, confident, and safe. I think that sums the GS up for me. Now, there is going to be another video on my YouTube which is more about living with the GS kind of video. Please do check that out. If you're new to my channel, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notifications, and do remember to check out my other social media channels. If you have any questions, anything I've missed, anything I've accidentally said a little bit wrong, you know, get in the comments below. Do I rate this bike? Oh my goodness, I rate this bike. If I had room for this bike, probably quite literally, you can barely see me in the garage how big it is. If I had room for this bike in my life, I would absolutely love one. I think I get the whole GS thing, which I'm a little bit intimidated to say. Thankfully, I didn't promise to eat my hat, I liked it. I'm Vanessa, the girl on a bike. Thanks so much for watching.